I watched the movie Valentin. It's from Argentina. It wasn't based on a book. It was based on 1 year of life of the writer and director Alejandro Agresti. And ironically, in the movie, he plays the role of the father, who is an abusive and neglectful character in the story. Takes place during the time period of the 1960s in Buenos Aires. Um, Two of the main characters of the film were Valentin and his grandmother. Valentin is a young boy who lives with his grandmother because his father is not present. He's out working and dating a bunch of women. And as far as Valentin knows, his mother isn't in his life by choice, but throughout the movie, you come to find out that um, she cheated on his father, and his father basically scared her away, and that's why she wasn't allowed to see him. The grandmother is kind of characterized as like an angry, scary, lonely woman. She's very strict. You know, she's grieving the loss of her husband, and she like talks to herself, but she's talking to him, and so she's having a lot of health issues. And she's raising Valentine on her own. Her son kind of shows up and throws money at the family and tells them about the new woman he's dating. Um, I would say that, she tries to kind of, Valentine's like very much a dreamer. And so their relationship is kind of hard because she's like trying to bring him down with like the harsh realities of life and give him a realistic view of the world, whereas he's like dreaming of becoming an astronaut and he's like, I can do whatever I want, but there's love and respect in the relationship nonetheless. Um, Valentine experiences, I mean, the main hardship of just kind of wondering why he's um, doesn't have parents and he doesn't have a family. He longs for it very much, and his grandmother dies abruptly, and he is kind of shoved into a house with one of his classmates because his father doesn't step up to take care of him. And so he had made friends with a neighbor man, and he remained friends with the ex-girlfriend of one of his father's ex-girlfriends. And you know um he comes to accept that like his parents aren't going to be present. He finds out like that his mother can't see him. You don't really know how he copes with that, but my favorite scene of the movie is at the end where he sets up his neighbor and his father's ex-girlfriend, and they're just sitting in a cafe laughing, and it's two people, two adults, that a male figure and a female figure that have poured into him after he lost his grandmother. And he sets them up and he says, they remained together. um, they weren't my parents, but they were like an aunt and an uncle, so he kind of made the best of his situation. um, I would say the cultural products that were used were the simple things like the mocha pot, like having cafecito con pan maquilla, like um, very specific products related to that culture. The practices of the female caretaker in the household, the male who was a leader and not questioned. He just kind of did what he wanted and nobody kind of asked why. And I think that perspective of the male and female differential, like within that society, um, was very clear throughout this movie. Um, I would absolutely recommend this movie to a friend because it's talking completely about perseverance and going through hardships and finding a silver lining, um, becoming successful without an idyllic childhood. You know, I think that that's huge, and I think that's absolutely why I would recommend this movie to someone.